Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Strikes Back. My name is George, and you're listening to our review of Thor Ragnarok with the boys Connor
Hello.
and Benny.
Hello there.
Guys, we literally just got out of this screening, so this is a very, very fresh review for us.
We've always talked about how we like to have, on occasion, a little bit of time to digest a film. But
I don't feel comfortable expressing an opinion unless I've read other people's opinions
Yeah.
and can agree with them.
Good Lord, it's original content. I don't know what to do.
What a podcast, huh? But yeah, so I think this is going to be, there's a lot of stuff in this film, and we won't be getting into spoilers until later on in this podcast. So
And then we will be getting into all the spoilers if you want some of that.
We'll tell you when that is.
Yeah.
Make sure it's known.
But let's quickly wind things back and just go into what everyone was expecting with this. And also, we did some reviews for Thor 1 and 2 recently, so maybe a little bit of a summary of what you guys thought of Thor 1 and 2. And yeah.
All
what do you
right.
think, dudes?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay,
I elect myself.
Yeah. We'd expect nothing less.
Thank you. So, I mean, we're all on the same kind of wavelength when it comes to Marvel. We're all pretty solid on that bandwagon.
Damn straight.
We talked about Thor 1 and 2. He's always been one of the weaker characters in the overall universe.
He's very strong.
The strongest Avenger, in fact. No, just like, I remember when I first saw the Thor film, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And he's always been a, fish out of water kind of story, and that's where the humor and I think interest has come from him. Having reviewed Thor 1 and 2 now,
Very recently.
and going back to it, I kind of actually have more of an affinity with the character. I feel more towards him, I guess. Is a
Yeah,
weird way to
I
put it.
agree. I definitely agree with that.
Appreciate the character more. It's probably the best way to put it. And then kind of going into this film, there's a couple of things that made me really excited for it. First of all was where they left off in Age of Ultron, where they really kind of sent him off on his own to do almost kind of like a Spirit Quest style adventure, which, is just a good setup, I think. And the other thing was Taika Waititi, who directed this film. And I love everything he has done so far. And I think that it's an immensely bold and good move on Marvel's behalf to let him have the reins for this project and kind of inject his unique style into the MCU. So yeah, I went into this thinking it was going to be very good, which can be a setup for failure. But yeah, super excited for it.
Fantastic. What about you, Benny?
Cool. I've always been more of a Thor supporter than most people, I think. Loved both of the Thor movies when they came out. Still do, mostly. Really like the second one. If you want to hear a very singular opinion about Thor 2, listen to our review on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was definitely recently, as I expressed, I think last time we talked, a bit trepidatious about this film because the hype train was running like we have not seen before, I think.
It was fucking steaming ahead.
Yeah, the combination of Marvel, Taika Waititi, just the marketing campaign, everyone was so on board with this in that way that people kind of get behind things with the Facebook videos and the trailers and stuff. And I was worried that it was going to let a lot of people down because everyone would sit down and suddenly remember, oh, I don't really like Thor and Thor movies, which generally they haven't in the past. And that's how I kind of came into this, which,
The press tour that Chris and Taika and
Mark
Ruffalo did before this was intense. At least here in Australia, they were doing the rounds like nothing else.
They're doing the rounds. Yeah, and then for me, it was really fantastic revisiting Thor 1 and 2, and I'm really glad we did it because I think I'm the same as you, Connor, kind of a newfound appreciation of the character. And going into Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, man, we've talked about it at length on this show, how much of a talent he is. And I think Hunt for the Wilder People last year was my favorite film.
Wow.
So to say that I was excited for this one is an understatement. So let's get into overall impressions, and then it's going to be tough to sort of dissect this one and talk, but from a non-spoiler perspective. But we can give a sort of we can get in there. But
Yeah.
what did you guys think walking out of the cinema?
I think the first thing that we can talk about, and it is probably the first thing that we should talk about, is the humor of this film, because this film is funny. This film is almost I was trying to think about while I was watching. I was trying to think what's the genre for this film, because it wouldn't be too outrageous to say it's an outright comedy.
There's very few films that I can really compare this to. It has its own DNA, I feel.
Well, it's like
Kinda like Guardians, I
the
guess.
17th film in a franchise, and that alone makes it. All of these Marvel movies, there's such a huge blending of the different genres in different amounts. This one was more comedy than most of them are, I would
Definitely.
say. So yeah, if you kind of had to pick one right out of it, maybe even like comedy sci-fi almost.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about Thor 1, a lot of the comedy was established there, especially the fish out of water kind of story. So the Thor franchise has that comedic aspect in it from the get-go, but they amped it up in this one. And for me, pretty much every joke landed. Even things that I don't think were jokes landed,
And you could tell it was a very specific kind of comedy. It was very much ad lib. You can see them just going at it, joke after joke after joke, until they got something right.
You can feel the fun on set. So many of the laughs in this movie did not feel anything like someone had written this into a script. It was just a gesture or a reaction or something.
Yeah, but the film didn't feel as though it definitely had a direction. Like the story aspect was still very much intact, and it didn't feel sort of unwieldy. When you hear this is going a bit off topic here, but when you heard about Lord and Miller getting fired from Han Solo because they were doing all this crazy ad lib stuff, hey, this one worked out fine, and there was still a very strong thrust to the story. Yeah, so that ad lib aspect just didn't ever seem to be a problem for the film. It only seemed to enhance the film, which I don't know, it was just so successful and very different to what's come before in the MCU, which I really appreciated about this.
Well, it is and it isn't. It is very reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think was kind of heralded as the funniest MCU film of the time.
Definitely, but do you think it's got the same kind of ad libby sort of that off the cuff?
It's got a very
style?
similar style of humor. Yes. Not the same style of humor, but very similar.
I thought this definitely felt different. The ad-libbing, the real kind of feeling of just making it up on the spot sort of mostly came through with Tony Stark in a couple of the Iron Man movies. But this something about it felt more like Taika Waititi's other stuff than Marvel's other stuff, which was really cool because, we've seen certainly directorial stamps kind of take more and more of a position on these movies, but I thought this is the most that feels like someone else's or someone's film rather than Marvel's.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that Marvel is doing to their credit, is allowing there to be some diversity within the films that they're releasing now, which I think is important, because while it was important to establish a universe before and kind of keep in a certain tone, I think it's really important for them to now kind of keep it fresh. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is getting new talent in and allowing them to do what they need to do with these films. So
now, I skimmed a few reviews for this one. A lot of people are saying that this movie sacrifices drama for the sake of always going for the joke. How do you guys feel about that?
I don't feel like that at all, because I think there were stakes in this film. There was moments where I know there's definitely an element in the MCU where it's like everyone's going to be fine, everyone's going to be sweet at the end. But there's moments in here where I felt like things were on the line. I felt maybe it wasn't going to end up all okay. And I don't think it sacrificed that. I think it actually played it so perfectly. The balance between those elements, I thought, was handled extremely well.
I'll kind of disagree in the sense that I think, they did sacrifice some of the gravity that you got out of the first two. But I mean, you have to, as you said, George, you have to strike a balance. I mean, if you're going to have a film that focuses a little bit more on comedy, you're not going to be able to have as much of the film focus on kind of brooding drama. And for what it's worth, I think that it took the best of the drama out of the first two, and it took the best of the comedic style of Taika Waititi, and I think it made it kind of a really wonderful blend of the two.
What do you think, Benny?
I do not really think they struck a balance. I think they picked a side, and that side was comedy. I was worried reading what I read that this might completely undercut all the drama. I don't think it did. I thought it worked out really well, but it was definitely always on the side of the jokes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
I didn't feel too many emotional moments in this film.
Yeah, I agree with that. But in saying that, I feel like the comedy actually made me fall in love with some of the characters more. Like especially Thor. I think I got to know him more through those moments, and for that reason, it kind of amplified those more drama or moments where there was stakes.
Speaking about Thor and comedy, I was reading an interview with Chris Hemsworth where he was kind of explaining why Thor is such a different Thor than we've seen before. And I thought he was less so than in the trailers, which were very
Less
different than he seemed in the trailers.
Okay, yeah.
But it was just him talking about how Thor's, spent a lot of time on Earth now, or a bit of time on Earth. He's been around people like Tony Stark. He's got a bit more sass to him. And I think in this, they did actually strike a balance between the Shakespearean God of Thunder we've seen before, and in this one, he's just kind of a goof.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, as I was watching this character kind of not fumble through the world, but progress, I was a little bit worried they were going to make him into too much of an idiot, so to speak. I mean, he has some... he's always had that fish out of water, but you never got the sense that he's an idiot. He's always very kind of knowledgeable in what he knows.
A little bit of a sense of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but in the sense that he is a fish out of water. And in this one, I didn't want him to become too kind of bumbling. But I think they struck a nice little balance between the two.
Yeah, he was in charge. He was dropping some science stuff at the end, which I'm like, oh, Thor, good on you. About collapsing neutron stars and
Yeah.
Speaking of characters, what did we all think of Mark Ruffalo? I'll be a little bit more specific. What did we think of him as Bruce Banner?
Or as Thor? As Hulk? Like the Hulk character as a whole? Is that what you mean? Or
No,
exactly the opposite of what he said.
Exactly opposite of what I said. I asked him Bruce Banner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into that because I think there's a lot there for people to experience in the cinema. But it was, to be honest, I freaking love Mark Ruffalo. He's literally like, just hearing that story about him live streaming the beginning of the film, I felt like I was watching Mark Ruffalo on the screen. Like he's a bit of a bumbling kind of like he does. I liked him. I liked him a lot.
I will agree that it felt like you were watching Mark Ruffalo, though. I don't think he was giving it his all exactly. Like it certainly wasn't the performance he would be giving if he was in a solo Hulk movie, where it's been 2 years since he's been Banner.
He didn't get to flex the Banner science aspects that the scientist as
from
Bruce
an emotional side,
and I'll be honest. One of the things I found, again, I don't want to get into any spoilers, but I would have liked for there to have been more for Banner to do.
Yeah,
I feel like this, and this could just be because they didn't want to take too much focus or time off Thor himself. But I mean, that's just kind of what I thought. And maybe they'll explore that a little bit more in Infinity War.
Yeah. I mean, moving on with some of the other characters, great to see Loki back in the fold.
It's
been 4 years since Avengers. Doesn't seem that long, but it has been that long. And Benny, you're the Loki guy amongst us. So how did you feel with Tom Hiddleston back in the role?
Let's get the negative straight out of the way. I didn't love his costume. It was a different shade of green. And I just didn't. I didn't like the color. I think there was a lot of kind of Loki's green in the set design, and I guess that's why they made him a kind of a different green. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I thought he was great. I really liked the way they kind of carried on that character from the 3 films we've seen him in, and kind of his journey over that, and his relationship with Thor. It was a cool balance of being where I wanted it to go, but not exactly where I expected it would go.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it was good. I loved it.
What did you think of Loki?
Yeah, I was on board. I've always thought that Marvel's treatment of that character has been well calculated. They don't paint themselves into a corner. They don't, I don't think they overdo it. I think they strike a good balance.
Yeah.
It kind of seems to be the mantra for this one.
It was, they've definitely done a good job with him of keeping in mind that he's a big fan favorite because of that first Thor film, that people just love Hiddleston in that role. And they've done a really good job of keeping him around and justifying it.
Yeah. I like some small little callbacks to the first Thor with his character. I just love Tom Hiddleston. I think this could be my favorite Loki performance. I don't know. I just loved it. Maybe he didn't have the one-liners in there, but I don't know. I just really, really loved it.
I still think just as a personal opinion, I think Loki in Thor 1 is probably still the most iconic.
Yeah.
And
it's got it's the lines, the dramas.
The drama wasn't in this one.
The drama wasn't in this one.
There was a little bit, but you're definitely right where it doesn't rival the first two. And again, you can't have everything. But I think you're right when they said they sacrificed some of the gravitas and the drama for the comedy, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think you need to recognize that you either have one or the other.
But I don't
think that's true. The Marvel Universe is kind of built on being dramatic and funny. That's their whole thing.
Yeah, but you can't have both of them turned up to 11 is what I'm saying. So if you turn up the comedy...
Guardians 2 had people crying from laughter and crying from sadness.
Crying from sadness? Really?
Absolutely. Oh my God.
I'm just trying to think of what happened in Guardians 2.
Well, the ending.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it specifically, but I'm sure everyone's seen it by now.
I guess.
I loved the relationship between Thor and Loki, and there was a few select scenes in here that I think really amplified what's happened before and sort of tapped into them being brothers.
Yeah.
And growing up together and getting older. And I love that aspect of this film. And I think it was sprinkled in there in a nice dosage.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We've just seen this and I really want to see it again, but I think that's right. There was a lot more of that kind of brotherly relationship than I was worried there would be. Because, with the Hulk and everything in this film, there's other planet. And
there's a lot of players.
Ragnarok. Yeah, I was afraid that Loki would kind of get the short shrift, but I don't think he did.
Speaking of players, should we talk about Hela?
Yeah. Cate Blanchett.
He wasn't going to do it.
I'm glad someone did, though. Set it up.
Cate Blanchett.
Australia's own.
Yeah. Look, don't want to go into much spoilers, but as far as her performance, I thought it was really good. I thought she struck the chord as a creepy, angry, again, bad guy.
So as with every Marvel movie, the press leading up to this was like, oh, this one's different. This is going to be the bad guy. This is the one that's a full-on character. They have motivations. You're going to come out of this being like, fuck, they got it right this time.
Did they get it
right this time?
Oh, no, of course not. I mean, she's still a fairly, typical bad guy for the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, yep. I just before going into that, I loved her look. I thought
amazing.
I loved the look.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the antler design. I just thought they completely nailed that. And I just quickly looked at some old comic book Jack Kirby covers, and they really nailed the look.
Yeah. As my girlfriend put it, she looks like an evil reindeer.
Yeah.
Pretty spot
on. But in terms of what you were just talking about, Connor, as a bad guy, is this the greatest bad guy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Not necessarily,
Definitely
not. I liked it, and I liked the layers that it added to. The backstory of certain characters.
I thought the performance was good. Nothing really jumps out as being like, wow, that was fantastic, especially for someone like Cate Blanchett. But she really felt like she was kind of there just to be that. This is the opposition. Here's a lot of exposition. Kind of bad guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Tessa Thompson, as the Valkyrie.
Yeah. Not what I expected. Not exactly what I expected.
I thought she was British, but I just looked up. She's American.
I did not think she was British. I thought her accent was a little on and off.
It was really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
It
It
wasn't-
was kind of that generic, like, space Australian British
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
It was
Asgard apparently
bizarre.
is. I thought she should have just been American. I don't know why they did that.
I loved her in this. I loved the backstory to the character. I loved just she was like fending for herself and doing her own thing. Once again, dancing around spoilers here, but I really like that character. I really, really like that character, and I hope that she sticks around.
Yeah, very cool. Let's get this one out of the way. Taika Waititi.
Oh,
can I
The
just mention
director.
one thing before we go on? Because it's been in the press a little bit. Apparently, Tessa Thompson, or the Valkyrie, is the MCU's first LGBT character.
Nope, incorrect. She's the first openly bisexual character in the MCU.
That would be LGBT.
That would be one part of that. The first openly gay character in the MCU is what's her name from Jessica Jones, Hogarth, the lawyer,
oh yeah,
Okay.
Aussie actress.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep, Carrie-Anne Moss. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we'll for movies then. Jesus.
That's not splitting hairs. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But,
Cool,
did-
well,
but
that's-
that didn't really play into the movie. I
Didn't
don't
play into
think.
it at
No,
all.
not
Yeah,
at all.
Not
Not at all.
acknowledged whatsoever.
But it is something that's floating around the media now.
And great, more of it. Let's do it.
Yeah. How is that what you like picked on with that? Just like, no, it's not actually the first one. Piss off.
I'm sorry, you
just-
said something that was completely incorrect. I thought for our listeners, I
Yeah.
should let them know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Anyway, that was a fun diversion. Now on to something that we can all be agreeing about, I'm sure, is Taika Waititi's character in his film Korg, the Stone
Oh.
Soldier.
my lord, is this a freaking amazing character?
And this has been something that's been, hyped on about in the press and the press tour that's come up about how good this character is, and everyone seems to love it, and I totally get it.
Made me love Taika Waititi even more, man.
Yeah.
This guy, I feel like he has such a great handle on the medium of film. Through the visuals of this film, through the comedy, through this character. Like, he's doing a mocap character.
Yeah.
Completely sold it. I just all the one-liners landed. He's one of the big comic reliefs of this film. At first, like, kind of Kiwi space character I can think of.
Yeah.
I just love it, and I love Kiwi accents.
There's the stormtroopers.
Yeah, there's a
They're-
stormtrooper. Yeah, that's very true. Attack of the Clones.
Boba Fett. Yeah.
Jango Fett. But there was something about this character that was different and something that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Which
he
was-
was.
Just the nature of the comedy, the Kiwi accent, the look. It's just a combination of things that really made that character, in my mind, really stand out, and something that I will go back to Ragnarok purely to watch those scenes.
And just
And-
one of the biggest affirmance of why we should have more diversity in casting and in storytelling. Just like you said, how many characters like this have we seen? It's just like it jumps out at you so much. It's so original and different.
Under another director, this could have been a very average character. It could have been the comic relief character
Yeah.
with the funny one-liners, which he was, but there was something about the way Taika Waititi approached this role that made it separate.
He's an amazing performer. It's not fair. Like amazing director and amazing performer. Every
Yeah.
movie of his that he's in, he is so funny.
Speaking of, I keep doing segues into the next character.
Yeah.
Comic relief, Jeff Goldblum.
Man,
What a fucking character. in
Jeff
this.
Goldblum as Jeff Goldblum
Yes,
in the Goldblumiest role he's had since Jurassic
Seriously.
Park.
It is
My
like
God.
he's dialed it up to 11.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
I mean,
Generally, one of my favorite parts of this film.
yeah.
I think so. Like it's really hard to pinpoint one thing in this film that kind of jumps out as the best, quote unquote. But this is certainly it's got to be one of them.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
so funny.
I think saying Jeff Goldblum playing Jeff Goldblum is very accurate. His character is very funny, but if you've seen him before in films, you know what to expect with this character. That's fine. I liked it. I didn't think it stood out to me. I enjoyed it a lot, but could he have done more? Maybe. I don't know.
Some people say maybe.
It was a very but you kind of know what I mean. He could have.
No.
I mean, he played himself basically. Is what I'm saying, and he probably could have amped it up. But hey,
That's all I wanted.
In that scenario, yeah,
I think that was spot on. I think
Yeah.
anything more would have been kind of pushing it to, like, you never know because you'll never see it. But I have a feeling that if you had tried to change anything about that performance, it just wouldn't have felt right.
And he felt a piece as well of the other example of his kind of race that we've seen before, Benicio del Toro as the Collector,
Yeah.
as just this like fucking space weirdo.
Yeah.
Who's just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
that
He's
worked
definitely
out
doing
well.
his own thing in this.
Yeah.
So
Well, we've got one more, I think.
okay.
Just in terms of the main cast would be Idris Elba returning as Heimdall.
And there's
Yeah.
actually two.
There's 3.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Idris Elba. I feel like he's getting a little bit more every film.
He is, but I compared to 2, I felt like his role was kind of demoted a little bit.
Really?
I feel like he had less in this one.
I feel like he only had sort of a couple scenes.
I feel like they dressed him up as Bishop from X-Men and then just kind of
He did look
shot a couple of scenes.
shockingly like Bishop.
I did like his dreadlocks.
Yeah, it was cool. I like that they've with a few of the characters in this, they've just been able to completely change the look of them. Like they're not relying on an iconic look for these characters. They're just like, this is the actor who's playing them. This is the character. Run with it.
Yeah.
The second character I was going to talk about was Odin.
Yeah,
of course.
of course.
We've got to give props to Anthony Hopkins. I think I didn't feel like the performance he gave was anything different than the first two, but if anything, he's been consistent. And if you can say anything about Anthony Hopkins and consistency, that's probably a good thing.
He did a lot less hamming it up this time, which wasn't as fun. It's funny. This is the most outlandish Thor movie, and he was the most pulled back.
Well,
for this
that's what I thought, and that's what I really liked, is that he was a little more vulnerable in this film, and he wasn't sort of the Odin figure, the king of Asgard. He is sort of stripped back a little bit, and I like that, and I think Anthony Hopkins wrote that pretty damn well. There was one scene earlier on that I was like, "What the hell is going on?" This is sort of a bit of a spoiler, but.
Well,
I like that scene.
I feel like we lost a lot of his role though, because there are a few set photos out of the New York shooting that had him in it, kind of as like this hobo-looking character, none of which was present. It seemed.
Interesting. What was the third character, George?
Carl Urban's character,
Scourge, of course.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Scourge?
Bit of fun.
Yeah, much more comical than I expected. I mean, all we saw in the trailers was this bald badass with 2 machine guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, right at the beginning of the film, he was just this really goofy kind of comedy character.
I feel like they could have. I feel like there was enough comedy in this film. If there was somewhere that they were gonna maybe dial it back on the comedy, they could have probably done it with him.
Yeah, but I liked his little moments. I love Carl Urban. I don't know why. I'm just really like.
Even after he shut you down?
Yeah,
he didn't shut me down. He said, "What a great question." his PI.
I was going to say,
his
his PR agent
his,
shut you down.
Whoever, assistant or
shut you
whatever.
right down.
Yeah. So I love Carl Urban, and it was great to see him in this. Great to see some more Kiwi talent in this film.
And speaking of which, there was also Rachel House from Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh my lord!
Bad Egg.
Oh my god! It's so good
She
to
was
see
the
her.
henchman.
She had
under-
kind of a small role in this film, but it was very good to see her again.
I loved her role in Hunt for the Wilder People. And it was fantastic to
Amazing.
see her in a film of this kind of scale, and I
Yeah.
hope it helps propel her into other films.
Totally. I mean, without Taika Waititi, can you imagine someone like her getting cast
No
in like any
way.
blockbuster
No
film?
way.
Wouldn't happen.
No way. So that's kind of a roundup of the characters. Can we talk a little bit about the look of the film?
That's what I wanted to talk about next was production design and execution of effects. Can we talk about the execution of effects first?
Yeah.
Because I want to get into my one big gripe about this film, which is it's a bit CGI heavy.
Was there green screen in this film? I feel like there might have been.
There
a
might
little
have
bit
been,
of green
yeah, a
screen
little
in this
bit.
film.
I've got to say, man, I I mean, I'll watch it again and maybe I'll go back on the statement. But this is some of the best green screen I've seen.
Incorrect.
Man, you said you were tired. I didn't realize you were that tired.
Very incorrect.
Because there's this level of depth that doesn't happen with a lot of these green screen effects, and I felt like this one just nailed it.
Man, I thought 90% of this movie was like a mid shot of a person who looks like they're in a tiny room, and then this big CGI background behind them.
That was
like it felt like kind of part of the improvisational nature of this film was like we're going to shoot in a room with no backgrounds, so we can make it all up later, and that came across in a big way.
Yeah. I will say this felt disappointing because it felt like a step backwards in a franchise or a shared universe that is constantly going up in terms of production design and execution for special effects.
Well, production design was fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry, but in terms of special effects, seems to be going up and just getting more impressive. This felt like a kind of a dip in the wrong direction.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I thought
this
and Guardians 2.
I felt like Guardians 2 looked way worse than this.
I do think it looked worse than this, but it's still kind of in the same ballpark.
There's a scene at the beginning of this film where Thor is in this sort of fiery environment, and I was like, wow, I feel like he's in this environment.
I thought that was one of the better ones.
I agree with you. That's one of the better ones.
Like there's so many times where you see these green screen films, and it's like, I know this is a green screen, and this one just had this level of depth where you felt integrated into the scene.
There was
the noise scenes.
Yeah. I'm just going to put this out there. There was a lot of green screen in this film, and it was not executed well.
I mean, it was executed as well as a green screen can be, which is not good.
Yeah. And the other thing,
that's so interesting.
The other thing is, there's a lot of CGI shots with, in particular, Hela, that, man, just when full characters are CGI'd, it comes across in a big way, and
Cate Blanchett was not showing up for any action scenes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was like,
I don't think there's a single action scene that she actually shot.
Yeah, but like, did that really pull you out of the movie?
100%.
I mean, when you're talking about a franchise that has stuff like, you know, the Winter Soldier, which is just like amazing action, and this doesn't have to be on that level of action, but it feels very real. And nothing in this does. But
that's part of it's like it's got this out of space, like in the middle of nowhere, things you've never seen before. Winter Soldier is like it
doesn't have to be a cartoon though. Like, get ready. I'm about to say one of the few nice things I've ever said about The Force Awakens. That movie is very tactile. Like, that all feels like it's there, and a lot of that is CGI, but they made it work somehow.
Yeah.
This felt very painted over in a lot lot of places.
Yes. Very much so.
I very much disagree. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the best visual effects I've ever seen, but man, it just seemed to work. And bringing up that Winter Soldier aspect, like Winter Soldier was like dialing it back and making Captain America feel so gritty and real. It was like a political thriller in some ways. And this is like, we're seeing shit that we've never seen before.
But that doesn't excuse, for example, like a fight scene where someone is very clearly a CGI character.
We're not talking about Neo in, Matrix Revolutions here. We're talking about
we're talking about the 2017 equivalent.
Yeah.
Did you guys really think it was that bad?
Yeah. Look, I didn't hate it, but I do think it is distracting. And
it was a moment that I looked at my watch and said, okay, I can excuse this as long as it's over quickly. And to its credit, it was fine.
I'll tell you what it was. It was a moment I was sitting there like, God, I bet the guys are hating this. Because I can happily be forgiving of flaws in a movie if I'm really liking the movie. Yeah. But I was thinking about how other people are watching, and I'm like, well, yeah, I can see how people would pick on this.
And I was very much on kind of in the same mindset. I was like, look, I'm really enjoying this film. It's hitting so many beats. I'm just going to let this happen. And when it's done, if it doesn't happen too many times after this, I'm happy. And to its credit, it didn't really happen too many times after that.
And I don't think for the most part that the action itself was all that amazing. Like if it's going to be that heavily CGI'd, I don't think that the choreography was all that interesting. That's the scene of like Hela when she first comes to Asgard.
Again, without getting into spoilers,
yeah. That was straight out of Dynasty Warriors, the video game series. Like straight out of it. It was crazy.
Yeah, wow, that's so interesting. I really thought, you know what? I think there's some scenarios where, when production design is so fantastic that you can have a lower quality of CGI and it'll still push it through because the design is just that amazing. And this, for me, is probably one of those where I was just so. I loved the look of this film. I loved the look of the planet Sakaar, the geometric, blocky designs, like really bold colors, and that probably pushed it through for me. Where I wasn't. There was literally, I had no issue with the CG in this film.
That's crazy.
I think I hate to do this to you, but I'll bet you're gonna go back to that film,
maybe,
and you're gonna see it.
Very much so.
Because I think, and we talked about this on a very recent podcast about what CGI has done to our viewing experience. And when I see CGI in a scene that like a fighting scene like that, I immediately think lazy, because I have seen fight scenes just like that fight scene that have been done without like gratuitous CGI. And so I know it's possible. I know it can be done. And to see it being done in CGI just makes me think they were lazy.
I don't really know about that for anything in this film.
It might not be that they were actually lazy, but that's where my mind goes to, because I feel like you could have done it without CGI, therefore you should have.
The Thor Hulk fight?
No.
Get Lou Ferrigno back in.
I should be very clear. I'm talking about a very specific scene.
Yep.
And you can't do it without CGI, because she's obviously doing things that aren't physically possible, but there are certain shots that you could definitely have her, like, Cate Blanchett, or more accurately a stunt double, do those scenes.
Yeah. I'm so interested that you guys were that critical of the
This
CG.
is good. After all this ragging it, I feel like I'll watch it again and be like, hey, this looks pretty good.
Yeah. Really set up expectation. And to be honest, it's not the worst thing that you'll see this year as far as CGI. Like, that's not what we're saying.
Go watch Geostorm, man.
Yeah. But what we are saying is, for where the Marvel Cinematic Universe should be right now, I don't think that level of the CGI and green screen shoddiness should be acceptable.
I just disagree. But I'm
Watch
looking
it again.
forward
I
to.
guarantee you will change your mind.
I'm looking forward to watching it again because
Let's
I'm
make a
interested
bet.
to see. I'm interested to see. I'll think about what you guys are saying as I'm watching it.
I know, and that's why I feel bad for doing this to you.
If I can really actually just succinctly sum up how I feel about it, I think the CGI is good. There's just so much of it that it stretches a bit thin, and there's just a lot of green screen and fake sets.
Yeah.
100%, 100%. But the look of the sets and the design, I think, is just incredible. I just loved the look. It was a visual feast. The look of the ships, the look of Asgard. I think they even amplified Asgard more. Everything in this film just looked, from a production design standpoint, on fucking point.
So Asgard, I'll pretty much say, is the exact same as Thor 2. They didn't really add much to it. In fact, so much less of this takes place in Asgard, so they have less time and to really explore it.
There's some specific bits where they sort of go outside of the city, and that's enhancing that. We've never seen that before.
It is, and it's decent. But I don't think they're going by miles ahead of what we've seen in Thor 2. I will give this. There is a couple of key scenes. Looking at things like mosaics that I think they put a lot of cool production design into, and that I'm 100% down with.
That was building on stuff from the second one, which I think all the Asgard stuff did. I think it it doesn't. I think it's good. I think it feels like it's just kind of showing the same Asgard we've seen in Thor 2.
Yeah,
it definitely does. It does. It's that earthier Asgard as opposed to the golden sheen of the first one.
Yeah. And obviously in the planet that you see in the trailers, and what is it called? Sicario?
Sicario.
Thor and Sicario, that would be a whole different thing.
Obviously the production design in that is phenomenal. I love its assault of colors and just, weird and wacky design, and I'm so down with it.
I gotta see it again, like right now, because I was just so distracted by the green screen stuff.
Yeah.
Just the first trailer we saw was Thor in that arena, you know, and I was like, I love this, but damn,
Yeah.
that is just a big old CGI
The
arena.
the arena out of all those scenes looked the worst.
Yeah,
But still,
Ooh.
that's just what's stuck in my head though. So
that's so interesting. So interesting. You guys want to talk a little bit about the score, because I love that more 80s 8-bit throwback
Yeah.
score of this.
yeah, Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo.
So
Awesome.
This was
really awesome.
You know, obviously a fairly large departure from Thor 1 and 2, which was more kind of classical music
Epic.
and, you know,
Mm,
epic.
with some
fantasy.
callbacks to the music from the second one though.
There
which
was a
I
cool
appreciated.
callback. There was a very cool callback. But yeah, like it was a very, very much a different beast for this one. But I loved it. I thought it was cool, and it fit well with the setting.
Yeah, it worked well. I don't think they pushed it quite as far into that kind of synthy 80s territory as the trailers had.
Definitely not.
Which was, you know, an actual different song. But
A good decision, though, I believe.
I don't know. I really fell in love with the music from the trailers, and I could have stand to listen to the whole movie sounding like that. But there were elements of it.
Yeah, I think I think once again got the balance right. I think if they'd pushed it too far and made it too video gamey 80s style, I think it could have pulled you out of the film a little bit. Maybe not.
Yeah. There was a wonderful Zeppelin song in there.
Mm-hmm.
Very epic.
Oh man.
I love Zeppelin. Zeppelin's one of my, like, you know, kind of the most dear to my heart.
Yeah.
An
For me,
old-
like it was never Beatles or Stones. It was like Zeppelin. Man. So to see that song in this film was fantastic.
And I love how it's relatively rare for Zeppelin songs to be used in films, largely because they just wouldn't license them.
Except for this
Yeah.
one, which seems to be in a lot of movies.
Yeah, I think there must be something going on with that where it's either public domain or not public domain, but you know they must have licensed it out to a.
It's ever since Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, when Reznor and Karen O did the cover of Immigrant Song. That was, I think, the breaking of the.
No, you know what I think it is? School of Rock.
Oh, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Because they were notorious for
That's
not
exactly
allowing
what it
any
was.
productions, and Jack Black had to create a video
Yeah.
of him singing, like lip syncing
Yeah,
along
yeah,
the
yeah.
song, and I think he was with the crowd, and like he got into it, like as he did in the film.
Robert
and they were
Plant was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
So we've done a lot of dancing around spoilers, because this film is jam packed with spoilers.
We getting into it?
Do you guys want to give a final wrap up? Was there anything else you guys wanted to get into?
Let's do a final wrap up. I mean, ultimately, this is one of the it's probably the most fun I've had in a Marvel film.
Wow.
It is just an absolute bucket load of fun, and I stress that it is funny, it is adventurous, you know, it's a ride. So I highly recommend it. Yeah, no, and Taika Waititi, man, what a legend.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time harping on the one negative that I think we took out of it. But that is the one negative. I had a really good time with this. Time will tell. I don't think it's going to be like my top one. This might be one that doesn't hold up as well on repeated viewings. I feel like
I can see that.
it's kind of akin to the Guardians films, and I think those kind of go down a bit after time.
So do you think do you still hold Thor 2 above this then?
It's too early to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
right now, sure.
Yeah,
Because I
still high off it, yeah.
I didn't go on a huge rant about the way Thor 2 looked, so I'll give it that at least. But yeah, this movie is fucking funny. It's probably the funniest movie in the whole MCU, which a lot of people are saying, and I cannot wait to see it again.
Yeah. I am so impressed with Taika Waititi. There was so much hype around this film, and the fact that he delivered is just a testament to him as a director.
And to Marvel for letting him.
Yeah, 100%.
Hear that, Kathleen Kennedy?
I will say, we can get into this a little bit more in spoilers. My one negative is not the CG, actually. My negative is there's a lull in the middle of this film. There's a lull, and there was a point where I was like, okay, let's get going. Let's get going here. But it quickly rectified that, and thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the funniest Marvel films. One of my favorite Marvel films. As we've said, this is very fresh. We've just come out of the screening, but I really love this film, and I can't wait to see it again. So let's be very, very, very explicit here. Spoilers start, and I think we all agree the best way to see this film is to avoid spoilers like the plague. So
they kept some stuff under wraps.
Yeah, man, hit that pause button. Go and see this film when you get the opportunity, because if you get these spoilers spoiled, which I actually got. I got something spoiled when Chris Hemsworth. I watched that clip of Chris Hemsworth getting pissed off with that TV presenter for.
Is it Ali Waleed?
It was on The Project, yeah.
Yeah.
But he spoiled one of the big spoilers in this, and I wish I hadn't known that. So please, guys,
He got pissed off in that.
Yeah, please, guys, if you haven't seen this film, get out of here and go check it out when it hits the cinema. Because spoilers are starting right now.
So what was spoiled?
That Hello was Thor's sister. Yeah.
Okay.
Which
I
mean,
think is a big spoiler. That wasn't in the marketing. If only if you dive deep in that character will you find out about that.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's a good reveal.
It's definitely a it's not the worst spoiler, but it's up there.
It adds a complexity to Hela that wasn't there.
So either
previously.
you got the spoiler or you just knew something about Norse mythology, because they're related in Norse mythology.
Yeah,
I think it's actually
related in all mythology.
I think she's Loki's daughter, actually, in the mythology.
Yeah, so completely different. I mean, the wolf is Loki's child as well, I think,
Yeah.
in mythology. So yeah,
I love that wolf, man.
So I think let's kind of take a step back. Let's talk about, I think, the first spoiler and the big spoiler, which is Odin's death.
Yeah, he man, the second he showed up, I was like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
I was like, shit.
So wait. That scene in the play scene.
The what?
The scene where he's saying
when Odin actually showed, because obviously that wasn't Odin.
Yeah. So I found that scene. I know we're going a bit on a tangent here, but I was like, what the hell's up with Odin? Like, there's something's up here. And then when
But
we
you
saw
knew
him
he
again,
was Loki.
I didn't know he was Loki.
How did you not know?
Wait,
Last time we
what?
saw Odin, he was Loki.
How many times have I told you guys? I never get shit in movies. Like, literally, you have to hit me over the head.
Literally,
with
the last
stuff.
time you saw Odin or Loki, they were the same person.
It was this at the end of Thor 2?
Thor 2, yeah, when he's
which
sitting
you
on the throne.
just watched.
Which we
Fuck you
just
guys.
reviewed.
Fuck you guys. I literally watched that movie like 6 days ago.
What did you think was going on when you saw the Loki statue?
Well, yeah, that's what I was like. What's going on? And I loved how it sort of unraveled, and it was such a great. That was such
How
a funny
good
scene,
would it
but-
be to be able to watch that and not understand
Yeah,
what's going
man,
on?
I wish I
Like,
could live in your world for a while.
Yeah, man, come on over.
to be
come on
really
over.
truly surprised by film, even if it's already been spoiled.
Yeah, so Odin has a very small role in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's straight out of there. He doesn't even actually probably die. He just floats away as mist or whatever.
Yeah. Did you find it as impactful as I think it should have been?
Not at all, man. Not
No.
even anywhere close to Frigga in Thor 2,
Well, yeah.
which was a big one. That was
That hits you right in the gut.
great. Yeah, and this one was like, it was good. I thought it was done fine, but it wasn't like
I
big swelling
feel
moment
like
or
I
anything.
should have been hit a little bit.
I agree.
At the moment where he's starting to float away, I was like, "Oh, look, I'll give it a pass because it's good enough." But I would have liked to have had a little bit more of a punch in the gut when he goes.
I was also super distracted in that whole Norway setting because it looked terrible,
It
and
was so bad.
but I was just working in my mind trying to figure out why this
they
was
did
even
it?
happening there,
Yeah.
because we'd seen in the original trailer Hela destroys Thor's hammer in New York.
Yeah.
We saw that scene in the streets, and we'd seen shots of Anthony Hopkins in full on like hobo gear
Yep.
in the streets. There was meant to be more of a
So
with
they
that
quite
Doctor Strange
obviously
stuff.
added everything in there after.
reshoots, and they changed like the exact shot. They just changed the background on.
Yeah.
which is
Went from like a brick wall to the grassy background.
yeah
If you watch the trailers, you can see
Yeah.
Hela like.
very distracting, and
With the
it
hammer.
was at its best. It was actually done pretty well. I thought the changes, but it was still very confused by all of that.
It's interesting just kind of going on a tangent there was I can't remember what it was. I think it was Comic-Con where Taika Waititi said this is a 100-minute film. Like this is the shortest Marvel film.
Wow.
And it's 130 minutes, the final runtime. So a lot has changed. And I think, you know, in the last sort of maybe 2 months of the production, I think a lot of decisions and changes were made. Such as this one.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. It's still just a little bit. That's kind of the moments where I thought my reaction is to say lazy, because just shoot on a fucking cliff in a field like just.
It would have been more. I think if they'd kind of made it more. I don't know. It just seemed to be like it was Anthony Hopkins as Odin just seemed to kind of, as you said, float away. I think if it'd been more tragic, or there'd been some kind of betrayal or something else added in there to make it enhance that moment, because it was just like, yeah, I'm about to die. Yeah, I'm gonna float off as gold dust now.
They'd kind of been hitting at his old age since the first film, though, so that worked well enough for me.
But he was just sitting there. He was like he was salient. He wasn't like, I don't know. It was it should have been enhanced.
He was
more.
half salient.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like there were certain lines in there that I quite enjoyed. I think it's one of his final lines about how much he loved his sons, and the plural was was stressed, and the look and the shot has him saying that, and it's very much focused on Loki and his reaction when he says that, which is quite heartening. That was kind of the impactful moment for me, not necessarily him floating away, but you know, him saying that line and seeing the reaction from Loki. But yeah, so I think that's, you know, again, very, very well done on Marvel for keeping that under wraps.
Definitely.
Now, something that wasn't kept under wraps at all, because it was a post-credit scene, was Doctor Strange showing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did we feel about that?
Very hammed in. Very hammed in.
I don't think you know what ham means. You
I
were saying this last week.
I borrowed it from this guy.
I really liked it. I thought he was... Like, we've seen that there's a lot of off-screen character development for Doctor Strange, who is now full-on Sorcerer Supreme, no limit to his powers, it seems. His accent bothered me less than it has previously. But I thought it was really fun when he showed up, and you could just hear the whispers in the audience, because Doctor Strange was very disconnected from the MCU overall, more so than most of their films. And I don't know, it felt back like, you know, when Tony Stark shows up at Incredible Hulk right at the beginning of this whole mess. It felt like maybe there were some people there who didn't realize he was going to show up, or didn't realize he was even connected. And that was a bit of fun.
You know, I agree. I think I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. While I was watching it, I didn't mind it at all.
Because it was a fun scene.
It was a
really fun scene.
I kind of wanted him to be less powerful than he was. I thought it made Thor look a little bit silly. But I mean, at the grand scale of things, it's not that big of a deal.
I thought it made a lot of sense. I feel like in the world of the comics, you know, he is the Sorcerer Supreme. He's a big fucking deal. And
well, he's integral in the Infinity Stones and Thanos and that whole, at least in the comic books, sorry, what am I trying to say?
I have no idea.
Yeah, he's integral in the storyline that progresses with Thanos, and he plays a big part in that. So it makes sense for them to be trying to introduce him a little bit more as a viable character in this universe.
Yeah, and I thought it made a lot of sense for him to show up in this movie, just with, you know, Asgardians popping up on Earth. That is his dominion. That's something he would be getting his nose into. So I thought that worked very well.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think diminishing of Thor's power, I wasn't that into that. And whilst it was a really fun scene, there was just something about it that just seemed like we're going to shove Doctor Strange in here. I don't know, man. And over time, since Doctor Strange has come out, I've sort of started to be like, is Doctor Strange, was it really as good as I sort of thought it was?
I've gotten to you.
Yeah, because I've only seen it once. So Doctor Strange is like, you know.
See, I saw him pop up in this, and I was like, maybe I like Doctor Strange more than I thought.
Yeah.
But that's it. He's gone. Like that 5-minute scene, and that's over. I thought he was going to be sort of more integrated into the story, and you could have probably pulled that scene out and it would have been fine.
Totally. But I think story-wise, they justified him not being in the rest of the film. He was like, get off my planet.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And I'm happy with that explanation.
No.
You know, if it weren't for the fact that he needed to be more woven into the MCU, you know, you're right. You probably could have gotten away without putting that scene in there. But, you know, considering that he did need to be woven in, and considering, you know, the way that they did it, I didn't think it was that bad at all.
Okay, so the next big thing that I think happened in this film, which we had no indication was coming, was Volstagg, Fendral, Hogan, dead. The Warriors 3 are gone.
Oh yeah,
Fucking massacred.
and with little to no real gravitas again.
Yeah,
apart from is it Hogan or Logan?
Hogan.
Hogan. All right, this is gonna sound probably fairly bad or weird.
Oh, God.
Did his accent get super strong?
I think it was just him yelling. He sounded different than.
Okay,
in the other
I
films.
couldn't tell whether he was putting on an accent.
No, he
or...
always had a strong accent.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Warriors 3 get fucked up, and as I said in the Thor review, I think they're so superfluous. Like, I know you've got to have Thor's comrades, but they were never. There was just something lacking with those characters, and this kind of send off for them, kind of for me, just like it fits with how I consider their character.
Well, yeah, because
Totally.
I felt
like
next to nothing when
dead.
they died. I was
Yeah.
like, oh well.
And Sif isn't even in this film. What happened there?
Not acknowledged whatsoever.
Like-
Interesting how they went. They didn't even mention her.
I'm glad she wasn't in it. If she was just going to die like them,
Yeah.
certainly.
Out of all of the Warriors, like Sith and the Warriors 3, she was actually the one that I would have felt something for if she had died. Because she was the only one of those that I actually liked.
Yeah,
you
same.
say that, but I think in this film you probably wouldn't have,
Maybe. I don't
because
know.
nothing in this movie kind of has that much gravity to it.
What about something that I really noticed in this is inconsistencies in the power of the Hulk.
Or
I
the
felt
power
like-
of Thor, really.
I felt like no, I don't think so. I think
Thor can beat the living shit out of the Hulk, but
yeah, but
can't
I
get
think
away from
I think that was Hulk
Get away from what?
coming down.
his little constraints.
Oh, but we don't know what those are
What's
made
that
of. We don't know
tech?
what
What's
this
that
planet
tech?
is. Yeah.
But I think the Hulk's power, if you look at the Hulk in Avengers, man, that guy fucking crushes. In this one, it was fairly evenly matched between Thor and Hulk, and I felt there was an inconsistency there.
They had a long fight in Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, he was holding his own. Thor was against the Hulk.
It makes sense. They've
He doesn't
never
have
had
his hammer. Like, I know he gets that, he gets the God of Thunder, that like becomes part of him, but he's holding his own without his hammer for the first half of that fight.
But
and
it
I
was
felt
still-
like it felt off.
But only with weapons that are strong enough for, like, the Hulk to use as well.
Yeah.
Like, when he's, like, doing body blows and stuff, Hulk can feel it, but he's not doing much damage.
Yeah,
I-
but
and
Hulk,
to-
but
I
but
did-
but if you go back to Thor 1, right, where Thor doesn't have his hammer and he's in that facility, the shield facility, and he's just kind of taking out guards.
But
That's the same
No,
Thor.
no,
It's
it's not. He
different.
lost all of his power.
Yeah.
Like, he may as well have been human in that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, he was getting
Yep.
hit by cars and getting taken down by doctors.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Kind of a
fair
big part of
enough.
that film, George.
Fair
How have you
enough.
forgotten both of these films?
I forget
You
everything.
literally just watched.
I'm
them,
gonna
like-
forget this one by tomorrow morning.
Oh, damn.
I'll be like, are we recording Thor Ragnarok
Yeah.
review this weekend, guys?
I think. Look.
Do you guys see any
No,
sort of
alright.
through line there with
You
what
have
I'm
to.
saying?
I think that with any superhero film, especially the MCU, you can't get too bogged down into that kind of thing. Unless there's a
definitely
huge-
agree. I
unless
just
there's a
felt like it was a
huge-
drop,
Yeah,
and I
unless-
noticed it.
Unless there's a huge discrepancy. But I don't feel as though there's ever been any huge discrepancy with Thor.
Oh, yeah, I hate to give you ammo, but the one thing I could maybe think of is Thor going toe-to-toe with Iron Man and that being sort of evenly matched.
You
And-
mean the Iron Buster thing in
No,
in
no.
Ultron?
Thor
in-
and Iron Man
Oh, sorry.
in the Thor Captain
We gotta
America
stop doing
Iron
late
Man
night podcasts,
Thor
George.
and Iron Man in.
Avengers when they fight in the forest. Okay, you've forgotten
Oh, yeah,
Avengers
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Because they're kind of going toe-to-toe.
But that was
I thought there was
okay.
also like I was a bit confused between when Thor and Superman fought. I thought that was a bit of a weird one. as well.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, man. Superman.
Do you not remember that one either, George?
I love Superman, man. Great part of the MCU. Yeah, I don't know. That was just something that popped out to me.
But you were saying with Hulk specifically.
Hulk
you brought up,
specifically. I thought his powers seemed weaker than he has previously.
See, now that's, I think, easily explainable because in the comics, when he's sent off to Sakaar, this planet, this is not a world where Hulk is the strongest. This is a world where there's so many superpowered beings and alien races from all across the galaxy, the universe. He's just some other guy, maybe. And
the most interesting thing
in
about the Hulk and his power was the fact that the thing was able to bite into his leg, the dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like some Asgardian god dog.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just some other earthly being.
Yeah.
I think that's completely understandable.
No. I mean, like in terms of testing the limits of his power. But I did not feel.
Yeah, I mean,
you look betrayed, George. Why have you done this to me?
Not at all. Not at all. I like that we're not agreeing on a bunch of things in this film. I thought we'd all be gushing on it.
Yeah.
That was just something that popped out to me. Can we? I would like to talk about the opening scene because I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was so funny. And I loved
him spinning around. Just wait a moment.
I love that scene and the head coming through the frost.
The big
frost
dragon
door.
head coming through the Bifrost.
The Bifrost. So fucking funny, man.
Yeah,
and the eyeball rolling around.
Well, speaking of that first scene, not only was it funny, but that was a fucking awesome action scene.
Amazing.
Possibly the best.
It was. I don't even think possibly. I think quite.
I think so. I think it was.
Yeah. So that's the first time Immigrant Song kicks in, and he's taking on all these fire dudes.
Fantastic.
And then this dragon shows up with these awesome, doesn't have wings. It just shooots out fire jets from its back.
I love that
really
entire
cool.
first scene. It was such a good kind of opening.
I loved
adventure
it too.
that
doing a lot more inventive things with Thor and his fighting style and his hammer and his flying and everything than we've seen before.
Very cool scene where the hammer is just going around and the camera
that was
locks
so
on
great.
On the hammers, it's just demolishing dudes.
Fantastic.
So good.
So I think that was, I was completely.
That just hooked me into the film,
man.
man. Just hooked me in.
Absolutely fantastic. Trying to think of any other spoilers. There's a whole bunch of different spoilers.
Well, huge, and I can say this was. They've changed shots from the trailer because of this spoiler, and there are shots. There are shots in the Infinity War trailer that do not have this, which is Thor loses his eye.
Yeah. There's that exact shot where he's on the Rainbow Bridge.
Iconic already. I thought, when he's all charged up, going Super Saiyan, and
so
there's two glowing eyes.
Is that? Can we almost, be certain that he's going to die in Infinity War then?
What?
I just feel like if you're going to beat up a character like that, you're preparing him for death.
Jesus. No.
He's lost an eye. That motherfucker's going to die.
Yeah. I've been a long time proponent that they should just kill everyone in Infinity Wars.
Horrible. He lost his hand in Thor 2, which was a trick, and he got it back straight away. I was shocked, I remember, when that happened in that movie. I was like, oh my God, they got rid of his hand, because that's something that has sort of happened in the comics. He replaces it with a hammer. But this is legit. This is permanent.
Yeah.
Seems
Well,
cool.
I was thinking that he was going to, when he got all charged up by the lightning, I thought one of the things that they were going to do is he was going to open that eye and it'd be all electric and stuff. And I was like, oh, that'll be cool. And then he didn't open the eye. I was like, oh, shit. They really...
he has Odin's eye patch at the end.
Which looks badass.
That's the look of the character moving forward now, I guess. Shorter hair.
Yeah, now, as I said, we've seen him in the Infinity War trailer. I've seen him in the Infinity War trailer. And he has two eyes. So I assume that is just a trick to not spoil this film.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like that they've done that for two trailers.
That's a very interesting observation. But that's going to be the look of Thor from now on. He's not going to have long hair. He's going to have the short hair, and he's going to have one eye.
Supposedly.
Well, we don't know for sure. We know he's got the short hair in Infinity War. We don't know that he has one eye. Maybe he'll just show up with two eyes. Who knows? And he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I went to we summoned dark energy."
Yeah,
dark energy, man.
Can
we talk about
end scene?
Yeah, can we talk about the whole kind of finale?
Okay,
in of itself, and
him getting electrical powers and all that kind of shit, and then taking it electric.
Rock and roll.
I love that. I mean, that's really when that it was an Immigrant Song, wasn't it? I just know. I just remember it, Led Zeppelin. When he starts taking people out with the his newfound powers, and everyone's kind of fighting together. I thought that was fucking awesome.
I thought that was done really well. How
Yeah.
Odin was just like the hammer was, the god of hammers.
Mm.
You're the god of thunder. Is always the power was in you all along.
It's such a cheesy kind of not cop out, but like
Just on a
so many-
logical level, though,
yeah.
just the way he puts it,
Yeah.
it works so well. It's like, you're not the god of
Not
hammers.
the god
He's
of
like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
He's got the power. It's like, fuck yeah, rock on.
yeah.
So is he not going to have the hammer moving forward?
I thought, how they go through the devil's anus and they say like it's a collapsing star with a
Yeah.
Eisenberg Rosen bridge or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
I'm like, because his hammer was
That's
made
right,
as
yeah.
a collapsing star. I'm like, oh, they're gonna make another
That's right.
hammer.
I have
But
a
they
feeling that he might reassemble Mjolnir, but because I just feel like it's such an iconic.
he'll get a new hammer.
Yeah.
He has to because Captain America's got to wield it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that actually popped into
Guarantee
my
that's gonna
head.
happen.
That because Ben, you've made the prediction that that's how Captain America is going to die.
Oh no, it's just that he's gonna wield the hammer at some point
Yeah. Well.
and probably go out swinging. Yeah.
Yeah. And he can't do that if there's no hammer.
Maybe he'll just be swinging the stick. Can people pick up the parts of it? Or
Yeah.
do you still have to be worthy?
But I like that concept after that where Asgard was the people was Asgard and the city, like that's the last time we're going to see Asgard in that form. And I
Again-
really liked that. I thought that was a nice way to sort of wrap things up.
Yeah. Again, not an incredibly original idea,
But it
of-
fit.
But it fit and it worked, and I think that sometimes the most tried and tested ideas are the best.
I think it worked. This is just occurring to me now. I don't think the movie really did any work in setting up what Ragnarok is and why it has to happen and why there's a prophecy. And
No,
Nothing.
I mean,
Ragnarok is the end of the world.
yeah,
essentially,
and
in
it's
mythology.
it's a cyclical thing. But in this, like they do some work with Surtur at the beginning, and they establish he's the one who's going to destroy it. But that's about it. And then
Yeah.
at the end, they're just like, no, it has to be destroyed.
Yeah.
I didn't catch why exactly.
No, me neither. But,
No, it was because the logic behind it was that Hela draws her strength from Asgard, and if Asgard
yeah.
continues to be there, then she will continue to be there. Do we think she's dead?
yeah.
Oh no,
No, we don't.
because she's the goddess of death. She's gonna have to have something to do with Thanos.
Well, Thanos,
probably.
of
Yeah.
course.
I mean,
yeah.
the way it is in the movie, it certainly seems like she is.
I think that this, in my head, and I thought they might even do it as a post-credit scene, but they didn't. Was going to be, I can kind of see the scene.
A
Is
hand
she's
bursting through the rubble or something.
No, I was actually going to say she's going to be lying in lying somewhere, and Thanos is going to come and
Yeah.
quote unquote rescue her and
Yeah.
be like, I'll seek revenge or.
Yeah, we
Or-
didn't get any of that kind of thing
Well,
in the post-credit scene.
there is that post-credit scene where a big fuck off ship shows up, which we can assume is Thanos' ship.
It's got to be.
It's got to be, man.
Yeah.
But that also brings into question, how are they going to come into Infinity War?
Yeah, I mean, Infinity War's next year, man. It's May, right?
Do we think that's where
It's going to kick off.
Well, I was going to say, do we think that's where Thanos is going to get the Tesseract? Because
Presumably.
Loki presumably stole the Tesseract when he set off Ragnarok.
Mm.
Yeah, lots to sort of think. We got to think about this a little bit because it's very fresh. But
I kind of know where Thor ends up from the Infinity War trailer after this, and yeah, I'm kind of curious if they're actually going to have any kind of follow on from that credit scene and what exactly happens there.
yeah,
Yeah, is Loki in the Infinity War trailer?
He's not, but he's in Infinity War. Thank God.
Okay, so I have a feeling that what possibly could happen is that's how Thanos gets a hold of the Tesseract because he takes Loki.
does Thanos need the Tesseract?
It's one of the,
One of the
Infinity Stones.
Oh, yeah.
We went
yeah,
through this
yeah,
last
yeah,
podcast, George.
Jesus.
Do you just like again? Like I
What?
said, we've just got to stop doing podcasts past a certain time.
You had to erase some data off your computer before. I think you may have actually.
Yeah. I'm running on around 5 hours sleep, a long ass day. So forgive me, my friends.
So Loki, full blown hero now, I think.
I very much think it's summed up by Thor's earlier comments about you will always be the god of mischief. So I don't think he's a full-blown hero.
I think he's much further in that camp now, and I don't
Yes.
think he's ever going to revert to villainy again.
He
Yeah.
will.
I
He
think
will never be the antagonist again.
Yeah, he had that. He had that moment with Thor where Thor was like, saying you could be so much more, and I
Yeah.
think that's.
I think that's definitely
kind
a
of where
turning
it's gonna
point.
be.
And I, as I said, and you alluded to, I don't think he will ever be a straight up antagonist anymore.
I
think he
reckon
will be a bit of an anti-hero.
I don't know. I reckon Infinity War he's probably going to die full on hero. I think
You reckon they're actually going to kill him?
I think they're going to do what they faked out in Thor 2.
You know what? Again,
So that'd be a big- that'd be a
it
big
was
one.
something that I thought about, and I was like, if they want to make an impact without killing one of the main Avengers, how are they going to do that? And it's 100% Loki,
Yep, that would
because he is the only character that people really care about that is not in the main pack.
I'll be crying for the rest of the movie when that happens.
And and I genuinely felt bad for you, Ben, because I was like, that's your guy.
He's had a good run.
Yeah.
So I just want to go back to one last thing from my perspective was that lull in the middle. I thought there was a lot of like dialogue between Hulk and Thor. This was post the Gladiator match, pre the anus, and that patch of the film I think was the weakest part. There was a lot of just like Hela
So
and
we
It was
haven't,
certainly the
walking
slowest.
around. It's the slowest.
we haven't
yeah.
actually talked about Hulk like almost at all, and there was kind of the middle chunk there with Thor and Hulk hanging out.
Do you know what?
Didn't do much for me.
Do you know what I will say? It's just not feasible. But I wish they hadn't spoiled the beginning of the Gladiator scene when he because it's such an awesome build up.
Can you imagine if we didn't know Hulk was in this film?
That would be insane.
Damn, that would be the coolest thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
In a cinema.
You wouldn't be able to do a press junket with Mark Ruffalo, but fuck it. That
You
would
just
be
have him there.
He's
that would be
tagging along, man.
fucking
He
hectic.
needs some cash.
I mean, even just if they kind of psyched you out as I don't know. I wish they hadn't shown that gladiatorial.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
That was a really great moment.
It's still an awesome moment.
But did you think it was like, sometimes you see a trailer and you go, I can't wait to see that in the film. And then it repeats in the film and you go, yeah. I didn't feel like I got that. That's just me though.
I still, like I said, it worked, but I would have loved to have seen that as a genuine surprise.
I really loved, and I mentioned this ages ago that I wanted this to happen, that when Banner first showed back up again, that he kind of was like, what's going on with Ultron, Sokovia? Like, how we doing?
Yeah.
Because because I like that level of continuity, and I really like that Black Widow kind of showed up and snapped him out of it. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking
I
of
like
which,
I love his sun's going
Sun's
down.
going down, big guy.
Please stop saying
That was amazing. That first scene in the arena.
Yeah.
Damn, that was good. Oh.
But yeah, I thought that. See, I'll even say that I thought the CGI looked worse for Hulk in this one than I thought it looked for Age of Ultron.
He's never looked better than in Avengers. I don't know what that is. I think maybe just because he was used so sparingly in that film.
It might be, yeah.
very sparingly.
And I think he didn't look quite as good as in Age of Ultron. I don't think he looks as good here either. Weird.
There's some scenes where I look at him and he's like, oh, that's not good. That's not acceptable.
There's never any danger whatsoever of you being like, oh my God, there's Thor and Hulk actually standing there together. It's just not going to happen, which I think it kind of approaches that in Avengers, the first one.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
But yeah, I liked the character. I liked the idea of him being like this big baby thing. I thought, like I said in before we got into spoilers, Mark Ruffalo, I thought just didn't have much to work with, and I think that was the biggest weakness of that character.
Yeah, as I said in the non-spoiler part, it just felt like Mark Ruffalo. It didn't feel like Bruce Banner. For whatever reason that was. Maybe it was the
having
the
too much fun on set.
Yeah, the
Well, and also the fact that-
scientist aspect
Yeah,
wasn't
if he-
enhanced.
If he plays off Tony Stark, then it makes sense. If he plays off, Nat Romanoff, that makes sense. Him just in that context. I think he played it as good as he could have. He's going to be this weirded out, fucking freaked out scientist in a world that he doesn't belong in. I think he nailed that character. I just wish that, there was just, I don't know, more for him to do.
I really like the Tony Stark stuff.
I could be Tony. Yeah, I did.
So funny.
Yeah, the tight pants thing.
Loved it.
I think this film sort of solidifies the fact that Hulk needs to be a supporting character. I don't know if there's enough interesting stuff. With the right guy, yes, we can do a great story. We'll never discredit that. But I think just a gut instinct to me says keep him a supporting character, keep that. That's a good decision to not have another solo Hulk film.
I disagree. I think you can do I think there's a good story there. But I don't think, you either need to really let it be its own thing. And I think it wouldn't be a comedy. I think it would be very much more drama centered. I think, Mark Ruffalo is probably the exact kind of guy to be able to play that. But you really need to give him the space to play that. And you need to have him, kind of bouncing off the right people for that story to work. And at the pace that the MCU is going right now, I don't think it's a viable thing. So I do think that the story is there, and I do think that it is possible to have a standalone. I just don't think in the current,
Yeah, I think the ship sailed.
Yeah.
I think maybe when Thor came out, you could have probably done one there, or in phase 1 or phase 2. It's too late now.
They did have a solo Hulk film in phase 1.
Well, they did. They did.
I would love to see a solo Hulk film again. Never going to happen, of course, for so many reasons. But could be cool to see more serious kind of Mark Ruffalo. Movie.
Well, I think.
No, we've missed something fucking huge here. We've missed the biggest, most amazing MCU cameo yet.
Matt Damon.
Oh my lord! How could I forget?
And Sam Neill
Sam Neill and
so good.
and Luke Hemsworth, Chris's older brother.
Oh, of course, that's who it was.
Yeah. So that's Sam Neill as Odin, Matt Damon as Loki, and Luke Hemsworth.
It was quite startling to see because I was like, that looks like Thor. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene, such a fantastic,
Yeah, so Thor shows up back home at Asgard after a long absence and everything. There's all this stuff. Loki was amazing, the big statue for him. And Odin's lying down eating grapes, watching this little play of Loki's amazing sacrifice in Thor: The Dark World, and we hear the Frigga's funeral scene music. Kind of there's a choir singing it and stuff. And there's Matt Damon, who I had heard the rumor was in this film.
Oh, really? I didn't know. I was just
that
like,
took
holy
me,
shit,
that blindsided me so hard.
He showed up on a late show interview, I think, that I guess Chris Hemsworth was doing. He crashed an interview.
Yeah.
I think I never actually watched the thing, but But they kept that pretty well under wraps, I thought. That was
damn
cool.
straight. I said to you guys afterwards, best secret Matt Damon cameo since Interstellar.
Yeah, no, that was
very
really
put
well done.
Under wraps. And just those little moments. That's kind of what we were talking about before with Hulk. Like those moments where you're in the cinema experience something for the first time. Like those are just magical moments. And that was one of those ones where I was like, "What's going
genuinely
on?"
amazing.
Loved it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. There's so much to talk about with this film. Like, I mean, we could probably just keep discussing it for days.
Something we haven't touched on: Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to mention that before. How did we feel
Not
about
around?
the treatment of one line?
It was like 2 lines.
Yeah. I didn't jump.
Yeah. It was fine.
Did they mention her in this?
Yeah.
When?
He said that he didn't get dumped.
And it was like it was a mutual dumping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which was fine. That's all it needed, really. They were never a love for the ages, even in the films.
Well, you mentioned this in the previous thing that they're the thirstiest.
They just wanted to bang, and
MCU.
Presumably they did. Got it out of their system, and were like, "Wow, you're boring, Thor.
Yeah.
You're not interesting yet." He's cool now, though.
So, I mean, I think that's a nice point to sort of say Thor as a trilogy: the Thor 1, Thor: The Dark World, Thor: Ragnarok. We discussed a little bit how they're a little disjointed because it's not.
I was going to say I would never call them a trilogy because they
Spider-Man.
are not in any way, shape, or form linear.
Yeah, but I mean, as a through line there, they all, from my perspective, feel so different. And I really love that about it. They feel everyone's got its own vibe. Each director's brought its own sort of style to it. And there's been a progression from the films, progressing with how the MCU films, the whole series has progressed. So I really like these three films. And I think... they're just really fun, and I think Ragnarok is probably the strongest. For me, I think it hits my sensibilities the best. Who knows how I feel in a week?
Yeah.
But that's where I'm sitting at right now.
So I think of the trilogy of MCU trilogies, this one is the middle child.
So there's Iron Man, there's Captain America, there's Thor.
There's Thor.
Okay.
So you put Captain America as number 1.
100%. I think that's 3 out of 3, knocked out of the park. Iron Man, I got to put at the bottom, probably, but only just. I think because Iron Man 2 is kind of the redheaded stepchild.
All right, we should rewatch that.
We will, because I think we're going to get around to all those movies. I think that's one of the MCU movies that gets better with age.
Yeah.
Iron Man 1 is, it was definitely great for its time. That's part of the whole thing.
It's bizarre to think that that's what has started all this. We've gone, if you actually think back to the first MCU film, and if you try,
that was Incredible Hulk, wasn't it, Connor?
I thought it was. I can't remember when they all came out. I didn't even realize at the time that the Incredible Hulk was part of the MCU. I didn't even know what the fuck the MCU was at the time.
It wasn't anything at the time.
But if you look back at that first film of Iron Man and you then try and imagine yourself at the time, imagining where it would be now, like just the complexity and the I mean, just this film is bizarre. It is not set in any way like you think it would be set for a Thor film.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And you know what? This film has made me really excited for Black Panther, because Black Panther has a very similar feel, not in the sense that it is, I mean, yes, it is colorful, and but in the sense that it feels like it differs from the rest of the MCU in that it looks like someone was able to have some creative control and, execute their vision. And I can't for the life of me remember what his name is, the director of that.
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, yeah, who did Creed.
And Beasts of No Nation.
No, we're not getting back into that. He did not do Beasts of New Nation. So it just feels very much in the same vein of someone was allowed to do their own thing.
I think Thor Ragnarok does a great job of feeling very distinct from the other elements of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't think it feels as far removed as the Guardians movies, which are very much their own corner.
Yeah.
And it also does kind of a little job of bridging the gap there, because they mentioned Xandar in this film, which is nice.
I like it. You know what I think we should do is, because the next MCU film to come out is Black Panther, so I think we'll have to do it before that, maybe by the end of the year, is rattle off our list of MCU films ranked in order.
The definitive list.
Yeah,
but
at least until the next week when
we should get together and hash out one list for the three of us that we agree upon.
You'd never find us three agreeing on a list.
But we should work out a point system, and I think we should do one list for the three of us.
But Thor 2 would never make it higher than like halfway.
That's fine. But I think it'd be interesting to see what
we'd agree upon.
Conglomerated list is.
Maybe the top 5 or the top 10 that we could agree upon.
Well, no, because his top 5 includes Thor 2, and that's just definitely not.
No,
the top
it doesn't.
5. You said it did.
I said it's like first place tie for like 6 movies, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's in the top 5.
Fifth is what I say to you, sir.
But with Infinity War coming out, I'd like to do something similar to what we've done with Thor here, where we can do Avengers 1, Age of Ultron, and then Infinity War. So
I think by the time Infinity War comes out, which is when again? May. I think by May we can probably have the entire of the MCU retro reviewed.
Yeah. Let's tie it in a bit more.
I'll take that challenge.
Welcome to our little just meeting about what's going to happen. This no longer has anything to do with this
so
review.
Real.
Yeah, look, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about?
Uh,
This is definitely going to happen. It's going to be about 20 minutes later, and we're going to get a text from like Ben saying,
Yep.
fuck, I forgot to talk about something.
Dutch
Okay.
angles. We forgot to talk about Dutch angles in Thor 1.
In the Thor review, we didn't talk about Dutch angles. I really want to talk about that because
Yeah.
that is the most tilted film in the MCU
know.
by a.
Very
Say
distracting.
it,
Crazy
say
margin.
it.
Very,
You're going to
very
say Country
distracting.
Mile, weren't you?
I was going to say
Yeah.
but I didn't. You said it. No, just the one last detail I want to talk about in Ragnarok is the great little moment with Hela in Odin's vault when she addresses a huge kind of not plot hole, but just something that has not been addressed by the films properly, which
gauntlet.
is the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's vault that we saw in Thor 1.
Yeah.
And she just walks up to it and says fake and knocks it off. I'm like, perfect. That's brilliant. That's all we needed to know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Nice.
No, it was niggling on me, so I'm glad that's been sorted out.
Yeah. 8 years I've been sitting here like, what the
Yeah.
fuck's going on?
Yeah, do you guys want to give a final little wrap up, or we kind of already done that?
Let's do our classic out of 10 rating. Where we all say it at the same time.
I will not do that. I hate ratings.
Yeah, the worst.
Yeah, look, I pretty much said everything that, if you don't know how I feel about the film now, this, I'll hark back to what I pretty much said right off the bat from this entire review, which is this is probably the most fun I've had in a Marvel film, probably ever. It is by far the funniest, and it is, I think, safe to classify it as a comedy. It's an absolute barrel of fun. I can't really give enough praise to Taika Waititi for what he's done with this.
Yeah, just to save you guys the text later, I will just mention, I think the funniest thing for me in the whole film was Thor's story about Loki turning into a snake. Just like, to lure me in because he knows I like snakes. Then I picked him up and he turned back into himself. I was like, "Oh, it's me."
And then,
No,
it cut back to Tom Hiddleston. It's so funny.
You know what? To be honest, I thought one of the greatest things was the fact that there's so much of this film which is just Chris Hemsworth screaming.
Yeah.
Like breaking the hard and fast character, which I absolutely love. So that it's a small world ride where at the end it kind of goes, fucking Kubrick style light show, and it just starts screaming. I absolutely love that. I fucking
And the Willy
cacked
Wonka
myself.
song.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I am very curious to see how this movie ages for me personally because it's way too early to form an opinion. I would say I love the experience of watching it. If you're on the fence while you're listening to this, you're not, so it doesn't matter. Go watch it. I'm going to go watch it again once or twice. This is probably the second best MCU film this year for me. I think the ranking is going to stand up. That's the one thing I will say. I think it's going to be Spider-Man, this, Guardians. I don't think that's going to change for me. But great time.
That's
Just quickly, were you last week? You were a little bit trepidatious. Do you feel that was
It's
unjusted or
it's
adjusted.
I don't feel like my worries came to pass. This movie delivered pretty much
Yeah, nice.
overall.
Yeah, I agree with that. Delivered for me, had a wild ride, incredibly funny, fantastic visuals, things you've never seen before. Don't really know what you guys are talking about the CG. Maybe I will next time I see it.
You definitely
and I am looking to. Let's have a little recap on the weekend when we do our weekly show.
Yeah.
Sort of see how we're feeling then.
I'll
And
see it again by then.
Just to kind of touch on something you just said, which is the rankings for this year. I'll actually put this as. I haven't rewatched Homecoming, but I have a feeling this might be just above Homecoming, and then Homecoming, and then Guardians.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I quite enjoy all three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guardians is probably the bottom.
Guardians is just a very strong third for me. Like well below
in
this.
no iteration of that list does it make it into the second or first spot. But having said that, I still enjoyed it. It's not like it's a bad film.
Anyway, I'm going to be up all night working on my list.
Yeah.
For the whole thing.
Start watching from Iron Man, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll be back on the weekend for our weekly movie show. Looking forward to it. Connor
Bye.
and Benny's.
Farewell.
Bye-bye.